And I don't want to keep this man waiting. I think UNLV basketball fans know a little bit about this guy. He is a legend himself, of course, the former Dookie. And now he is the managing director of USA Basketball, rightfully deserving. Grant Hill joining us right now on the show. Grant, first of all, thank you so much for taking a couple minutes to join us. Appreciate it. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, and thank you for having me and the kind words that you said about this Dookie.
Of course.
I appreciate that.
Do you miss a little bit of Mike Krzyzewski not being around here today?
You know what, Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K, he's incredible, and he's been just an integral part of this program and his success. What he and Colangelo were able to do, and just sort of righting the ship, bringing back credibility to the program. And he's not here. I'm still holding out hope he may come out for a day during our training camp. But we've texted a lot, and just honored to be able to be a part of continuing on the legacy that he helped to build.
You ever see yourself one day maybe being a head coach of a USA basketball team down the road in your life?
Well, I haven't thought about that. I've done a lot of things in retirement, but I think we have some of the best coaches in the world, in the U.S. and in the NBA, and certainly this staff. I mean, I'm still just in disbelief that we have the incredible staff. Steve Kerr, all that he's done throughout his basketball career.
Sure.
Player, won championships, has been a general manager, a broadcaster, and a phenomenal coach. Eric Spoelstra, Ty Lue, these guys have won championships.
Wonderful coaches.
And so for them to give of their time to be a part of this, to teach, to lead, to help guide this team in next year's team.
Right.
How lucky are we as part of this program to have people like that?
What do you think was the changing of the guard, right? I mean, I thought, Jerry Colangelo takes over. The FIBAs that were here in Vegas, if you recall, Kobe, LeBron, Dwayne Wade, some of the best to ever play the game. And it seemed to me that was just the changing of the guard, where some of the best players in the league said, okay, enough's enough now. We got to get the gold. We got to show some pride. And it just seems like since then, they've never looked back.
Well, you're right. I mean, we've obviously, if you watch the Redeem Team documentary, if you're old enough like we are to remember, they didn't win their first year in 2006. But, since then they've had great success, and Coach K was absolutely brilliant. Jerry's leadership, his vision, I think bringing structure, bringing some organization, and also just, getting guys to understand what it means to wear the USA, to play in the FIBA competition.
Sure.
And I think we got a bit complacent, and because we dominated out of the gates with the Dream Team in '92. I was fortunate to be on the '96 Olympic team, and in 2000 you started to see a little bit. Okay, the rest of the world is getting better and catching up, and then 2004 was a total disaster. And so I think it just restored things and brought some pride back, and brought some, just like I said, some structure to the program.
Sure,
and
no question.
But now, fast forward to where we are now, you have to tweak things at times as different generations, times change, not totally change, but just add to what was already there. And so that's kind of where we are right now, and excited about this team and this opportunity.
When you see this team right now on the roster, so much talent, so much young talent, it's incredible. Is there a player on this team that reminds you of yourself a little bit? Somebody that you say, hey, that reminds me of a 22-year-old Grant Hill?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're proud of this roster, and we have a lot of young talent, as you said, to sort of, fuel the pipeline, if you will. And so that's important, and I'm grateful that they're willing to be a part of this. I was a versatile guy and did a lot of things as a tall guy, and so I'm probably going to lean on the Duke guys, not because of the Duke connection, but Ingram and even Banchero, who is 6'10", 250. But I think the way they played, they approached the game, they could do a number of different things out on the floor. So there's some similarities there, but that's
no question.
It's not probably arrogant of me to compare myself to those guys.
I don't think it is at all. Let's reminisce a little bit. If you're just joining us, he is Grant Hill, the legend himself with USA Basketball now. When you walk outside this building and you see a statue of Jerry Tarkanian, I'm curious, Grant Hill, what is the first thing that enters your mind?
I think of when it was an honor to play against him, and more importantly to get to know him. And his legacy. I was with him when he went into the Hall of Fame, and I got a chance to get to know his daughter, who when we did a Duke documentary back, I don't know, a retrospective 20-year, and we were able to get him on film. And I, of course, know a number of guys that played for him. Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon was a teammate. Greg Anthony is a colleague of mine at Turner Sports. So just great respect and admiration, and just a tremendous legacy. And obviously there was, some twists and turns throughout that journey, but certainly he should be honored and remembered for his excellence and his contributions to the college game.
So when the NCAA Sweet 16 was here, Grant, Bobby Hurley was in town, of course, rooting on his brother, who's done an unbelievable job at UConn, national champions, and then one of my good friends, Anderson Hunt, who you played against. Yeah. They hadn't talked to each other in decades, and they run into each other in the concourse at T-Mobile, and I was there, and it was a very interesting conversation. What do you remember about those days? What do you remember about those battles with UNLV and how great that was back then?
Well, thankfully, I wasn't in the game where UNLV blew Duke out, so I was watching it in kind of disbelief. I think, there's the simple fact that you're like even talking or asking about a game that was,
long time ago,
30 plus years ago. I think it just speaks to how important, how significant, and how iconic those moments were, and to be a part of that. I think, in the moment you're at each other's throats, you're trying to beat each other. But I think as time elapses, you just have an appreciation. I have an appreciation for. For those teams. I have appreciation for the teams that beat us. It just helped us grow. We were part of history. It was a moment in time where, think about UNLV. You win the championship, and you have guys come back for another. It was a different era, so first of all, I'm glad that they were able to have a cordial conversation. Hopefully, I'm assuming it wasn't very cordial.
They exchanged numbers.
That's awesome. Who would have thought in 1991 that those two would be exchanging numbers?
By the way, Bobby Hurley is obviously he's a really good coach, but he's a madman on the sidelines. I mean, I watch this. How intense he is. Have you seen a coach that intense in the college game? I mean, he's pretty intense. I mean, I would imagine he was just as intense as a player, of course, but as a coach, it seems like he might even be more intense.
He is intense. I think he controlled that intensity a little bit more when he played. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of comical, maybe sometimes even a little disturbing when you see it. But he has that fire, and Bobby. One thing about him that I loved and still love about him, like his competitive nature. Like he competed, and that fire that was in him, I think, really helped elevate him into. One of the greatest college basketball point guards of all time.
A couple more quick questions, and we want to get you back out there. Best player you ever played with? Best player you ever had to guard?
Best player I ever had to guard was Michael Jordan, hands down. And, I think he's the best player to ever have played the game. It's my opinion. Best. I mean, I was fortunate. I played 19 years in the NBA. I had a lot of things, good, bad, injuries, all that. We were talking earlier. I mean, Joe Dumars, in Detroit.
That's Brian's Detroit guy. Yeah.
May not be the sexy name, but he was a great, great player and a great guy to have, a great mentor as a young player. Tracy McGrady was in terms of pure talent. Although I was hurt a great deal of the time that we were together, but he was, phenomenal. And then, Steve Nash. I mean, he was so much fun to play with. So I got a chance to really. You play 19 years, you're going to play with some great players.
Sure.
And those are the three that really stand out.
What do you think about this midseason NBA tournament? They're going to have it here in Vegas. And then the second part of my question is, what do you think about an NBA franchise eventually coming to Vegas? It's got to happen eventually. What are your thoughts on that, the midseason tournament, and then hopefully getting a franchise here in Vegas?
I like both. I think one thing I respect about the NBA is that they're not afraid to try things. Some sports kind of get stuck in tradition and they don't evolve with the times. And we entered, in 2020, before COVID, I got a chance to broadcast the NBA All-Star Game.
Right.
We had the new new ending, and it was a great ending in that particular All-Star game. We bring in the play-in tournament, which a lot of people were rolling their eyes, but you know what? It creates more excitement as we wind down the season and teams, who's going to be in, who's going to be out, and so you have to be able to adapt and adjust. And so the NBA is not afraid to try things. So I'm interested to see how it resonates with the players, but also how it resonates with the fans.
Last question.
Oh, and in Vegas, yes, it's a no-brainer. There should be an NBA
Has to be,
team.
right?
Yeah.
Is you ever be a part owner of an NBA franchise? Is that ever crossed your mind?
I am.
I didn't know that.
I'm co-owner and vice chairman of the Atlanta Hawks.
See, I should have known that.
No,
I didn't do my homework, Grant.
I have a lot. I wear a lot of hats, so sometimes too many to keep track of.
Yeah, no question about that. Mike Krzyzewski question: what you take away from him? The one thing you take away from him as a basketball player, and then as a human being. What have you taken from Mike Krzyzewski that you will use for your entire life?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much about him that to admire, but also that I learned. I think as I'm now in this role, in a leadership role, much like he's been his whole career, the one thing that really stands out is the relationships, being able to connect with people. Leadership, coaching, teaching. A lot of it is understanding the people you're working with and being authentic with them, being real. The genius of Coach K, it wasn't he was drawing up great plays, and we didn't run any plays when I was there, but it was
really? He didn't really do any of that
stuff? That wasn't his strong point. His strong point was getting you to buy into each other, getting you to believe in a common goal. And how you do that is investing in people and taking the time to get to know. So how he coached Christian Laettner was very different than how he coached Bobby Hurley, than how he coached me. And so it's like being a parent. You understand each kid, and they have their different personalities and so on and so forth. And so it's about people and understanding that and doing it over multiple generations. The class of '82 is very different than the class of 2020. But to be able to connect, resonate, lead, and inspire is one of the things that I feel is one of the many things that I feel is remarkable about him. And then I'm sorry, the other question, maybe I answered
just what you answered both, I think, as far as life and basketball. Why is it you think he decided he never wanted to really coach in the NBA?
I think at his core he's a teacher. He's a teacher. He's a leader. I think he got the NBA fix with USA Basketball. Got a chance to coach the best of the best in a unique environment where it's not about egos and personalities and contracts. Like, it's about winning. No one cares who's the leading scorer. It's just like we either win or we don't. And so you get all these great players in this environment, and you can really have an impact. And I think he did. I used to joke with him, like, thanks, Coach. You got all these other guys getting better as a result of being with you. Now I got to play against them in the NBA. But yeah, just a great man, a great leader.
No question.
And now a great friend.
Yeah, no question. Well, Grant, you're a living legend. USA Basketball is in great hands with you being a part of it, and we're so glad that you're here. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We'll let you get back there in the gym.
All right.
Grant Hill, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll